I'm not sure my camera is on or not, but I hope that is okay. So is my camera on?
So I'm not able to see you, Satish. Your screen is on, but your video is off. We're able to see only your name.
Yeah.
Yeah, now, yeah, both are right. Yeah.
So, dear friends, absolutely fantastic evening, a wonderful evening to all of you. I'm very, very, very excited to present a small session on mutual funds. I have been hearing many of my colleagues actively participating in this discussion about mutual funds. So, we thought we'll have a groundbreaking storming session on mutual funds. As most of you know, I am Satish Padapalli. I am a equity research analyst. I'm a SEBI registered fund advisor, and most importantly, I am currently pursuing my CFPCM under the guidance of Mr. Jinal. Besides these financial things, I am a passionate innovator. So we have been trying to innovate few things about how a know nothing investor, a common investor, can invest in the. We have seen so many things, so many ratios, so many things, fundamental experience, and we have heard about so many things about how to find the best fund. But today, I'm going to tell you one simple way, in one simple thing, how can somebody invest in the best mutual fund of the country. You have to excuse me for 1 second. I think this background is. Pawan sir, I'll just take 1 second to remove the background.
Yeah, yeah, no issue. Yeah.
Yeah. So is that clear, sir? So today we are going to see the magic of mutual funds and how this magic can create a little magic in your life. Today we are going to disclose one magical fund which is going to outperform 99% of the mutual funds in the financial market.
Satish, can you make it full screen?
Yes, sir. I'll just- So it's okay if I keep it like this. I have few things to swap between, and they may go unnoticed if I make it full screen. Is it visible clearly, or do you want me to make it actually full screen?
Yeah, yeah, it's visible, but we are able to screen the entire Microsoft PPT. Yeah, I think you can just, it's okay. Yeah, if you have.
There's something I wanted to show which will be omitted if I take this up. Is it okay now? Slightly okay?
Yeah, it's better.
Okay, sir. So basic, only one in definition. What is a mutual fund? A mutual fund is an open-ended, professionally managed investment fund managers that pools money from many investors to purchase the stocks. Profits and losses are shared equally. That's why it's called mutual fund. Mutual investment, mutual profit, mutual losses. Okay. I'm not going into nitty-gritties of all details because most of you know what mutual fund is and you can go through theory in the material provided to you. What is most important is how to find and what is that one magical fund that will perform the 99% of the market in next 10 years. So there are different kinds of mutual funds: blue chip funds, large cap funds, mid cap funds, small cap, mutual, multi cap. People ask me what's arbitrage fund. Arbitrage fund is I buy stocks from NSE at certain price and sell them at BSC with little difference in the price gap, 0.5 rupees, and I make little profit. So it's do in bulk basis. So 12.05 is the price on NSE and 12.0 is on BSC. So I'll buy on BSC and sell on NSE. So these are small arbitrage funds which constantly give you some 6 to 7% returns. Contra funds are what the entire market is not buying. So the contrarian thinking kind of funds. All these funds versus our magical fund, which we're going to discuss today. What is that magical fund? So before we go into further details, two broad classifications of mutual funds is active funds and passive funds. Active funds are actively managed by some fund manager who actively does research every week on week, month on month, and starts executing the purchase and sell of the securities. They usually charge some 1.5 to 2.5% as the expenses for fund managers fee and fund management expenses. The agent who recommends the actual funds, they usually get some 0.5 to 1% as fee. Ideally, both should be taken up. A passive fund is like a simple index fund. It copies some index, Nifty 50 index, Nifty mid cap index, Nifty small cap index. I hope you all understand what is an index. I'll tell you in bit detail in a while, but index is a benchmark fund of that category. So it is a passive average of all the funds. So if I say some funds give 15%, some funds give 13%, then the average index will be somewhere around 14%. So passive funds are index funds, which are the average of the entire universe of funds. They are usually automated. No big headache to be taken to prepare a passive fund. For example, I want to make Nifty mid cap fund. I will open my laptop. Okay, show me the top 30 mid cap companies. Invest 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 based on the market capitalization, free float market capitalization. If I want to make a Nifty 50 index fund, very simple. I open a laptop, again type the top 50 companies. Invest 1 rupee, 50 rupees into those funds in the ratio of free float market capitalization. So index funds are usually automated, robotic, no active intervention of fund manager, no talent, no experience gained by fund manager. You just have to see top 30 list. The expenses are very minimal because it's an automated thing, computer based thing. It usually follows some index, a Sensex or Nifty, mid cap, bank index. Some index keeps following it, and they're usually planned for long run. So with this brief introduction about mutual funds, type of mutual funds, active and passive funds, now we'll jump on to the big disclosure made in 1990 by a big writer in America, Gregory Baer. He wrote a big book called The Great Mutual Fund Trap. What happened with this book before the book came? The mutual fund houses were charging good amount of fees, 2.5% to 4% on the investors. He showed in real time that the returns given by the mutual fund and the returns handed over to the investor was widely different because of lot of expenses involved in a mutual fund management, because of which Americans were losing billions and billions to the mutual fund and brokerage industries. And he explained how a common man can save all those losses and invest in a good mutual fund. I will not go into details. I request all of you to search this book, read this book, and then you will come to the enlightenment. What exactly is the magical fund? So, what's the index fund? It replicates an index, average of all security transactions. Because every month I'm taking the top 50 companies. This month, the top 10 companies were Reliance, HDFC, and Airtel, and all this. So I invested in all these companies. Next month, Yes Bank went out of Nifty 50 list. And let us say Bajaj Finance came in. So this month, I will invest in all my money into the existing top 10 or top 50 companies. So all the profitable companies in the past 12 months will be taken into forming an index. In that way, you are always riding a winning horse. A loss-making company will be quickly kept out of the index, and the profitable companies will be put into the index. So you are essentially investing in the most profitable companies of the past 12 months. So by investing in index, you are investing in you're riding a winning horse. Let us look at the history of index funds. Today we are going to essentially discuss mostly about what are index funds, what are magical funds, are they same, and how to enhance the returns from them. Before I go into it, let me give you a small story. In 1940s, a great physics and economics professor, from Chicago University called up his two PhD scholars and asked, okay, tell me from 1900 till 1940, in 40 years, which funds were the best performing funds? What were the characteristics? They went home, did all the homework, and they came back and said, sir, apparently, index funds are the ones who are winning in 40 years. He said, it must have been by chance. He said, now compare from 1910 to 1950. Again went back home, again did a lot of homework, again came back with the same answer. So index fund like S&P 500 or Nasdaq is doing the best. He thought, so many students, so many studies, and still you're getting the index funds. It can't be by chance. There has something significant in it. So he proposed that there should be a fund called index fund which possibly has the best chance of performing in a long run. And they started an idea called unmanaged investment company. A similar idea was coined by a great genius of this whole era, this whole century, Jack C. Bogle or John Bogle, who came from Princeton University in 1951. He also published a similar paper saying that indexes have a very remarkable somebody has just a message saying that my voice is breaking. Is that audible? Can you just somebody confirm?
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay, Satish.
Okay, I think signals are going now and then. There is a breeze outside. The current is going and coming. Dr. Satish, please continue. Little louder.
Yes, sir. So Jack C. Bogle told that across 50 years time span, index funds were consistently outperforming most of the large cap and most of the important funds or hedge funds. He kept on shouting to people, go out guys, you have to invest in index fund. Don't think about so many hedge funds and complex funds and so on, complex thematic this and that funds. Just invest in an index fund. Nobody heard him. He kept on publishing papers and doing articles over 10 years. Nobody heard him. In 1975, after 14 years of shouting, he started his own fund house for index investing that was called Vanguard Inc. In America, it's one of the biggest fund houses as on today. Then he again kept on shouting to people that this is the best fund house, this is the best fund, keep investing in this, but nobody heard. In the entire fund industry, only 1 to 2% was being invested in the Vanguard industry. People believe that active fund managers have got a remarkable role to play in a mutual fund house. Then in 20 years after shouting, suddenly he met some guy called the Wizard of Wall Street. He proposed his idea and he was convinced. And this time, along with Vanguard, this magical Wizard of Wall Street also joined his revolution. Yes, a know-nothing investor should invest in a index fund. And that wizard was none other than Warren Buffett. He mentioned by periodically investing in an index fund, the know-nothing investor can actually outperform most investment professionals, almost 98% to be specific, as well as numbers. In 1995, Jack C. Bogle and Vanguard started vocally publicizing this fact that invest in a index fund. Let us say Nifty 50 fund, Sensex fund, Nifty Bank fund, whatever fund, Nifty Junior 50 fund, Nifty Mid Cap Index fund. But nobody heard. Until there was this Arnab Goswami like company which came up saying that, okay guys, the fund house managers say they are the best, the index guys say they are the best. Why don't you come on same platform and fight it out? So this company was called longbets.inc. These companies help execute long-term bets, 50-year bets, 20-year bets, 10-year bets. So the bet this time was for 10 years between 2008. Okay, I'll just use my pointer here. Between 2008 and 2018, 10 years. The clear bet was over a 10-year period of time commencing January 1, 2008, ending on December 2017, the S&P 500 will outperform a portfolio of funds, of hedge funds, when performance is measured on basis of fees and expenses involved. So what they were saying is, after deducting the costs, whatever return the investor gets will be lesser than an index fund. And these people you are seeing here are Protege Partners, Peter Seeds, Scotts, Jeffrey Archer, the biggest fund managers of America, who gave 19% consistently for 11 to 12 years. So they said, impossible. We have been doing it for past 100 years and nobody can outperform us by passively choosing the funds, top 50 funds. No, it can't happen. And he said, I will choose the passive top 500 funds. Like any fund you choose, it's okay. Any stock you choose is okay. So the bet was for $1 million. Index fund versus the best 5 funds. Can somebody guess and tell me who won that bet? A small 1 minute break for people to post small answers. This will actually give you a insight into what actually went through the two parties. And oh my god. So everybody agrees that it has to Warren Buffett. Very good. So actually Warren Buffett won that bet not just by little margin, he won by a huge margin. Such a huge margin that the bet was called off before the actual 10 years in 9th year. So if you can see, Fund A, Fund B, Fund C, Fund D, Fund D. This gave 2.5%, 6.5%, 3.6%, 2%. And Warren Buffett's passive fund gave 8.5%. Ever since that bet was announced on public stage, the Vanguard Index Fund went from 1% of American industry to 38% as on today in the past 3 years. Americans realized this fact after 100 years of investment in mutual fund. In America, mutual fund industry began somewhere around 1900. And after 120 years, they realized that, okay, index funds can actually outperform most of the common funds in the market. So with this, we come to the learning what is a magical fund. The magical fund we are going to discuss today, my friends, is Nifty 50. If you search Nifty 50 in Google, it will show you stock of the nation, fund of the nation. If on one platform I have to tell everybody invest only in one fund, it has to be Nifty 50. We will see how Nifty 50 has actually performed. There have been so many hypocrites who said, no, index investing works for America. It's a more developed country, advanced country, so-and-so hypothesis, so-and-so. It won't work for India. I can actually, today on this public forum, can lay a 1 lakh bet with all of you. Any of you can come up and say that today I will choose 10 best funds in the fund industry as on today versus my Nifty 50. And 10 years down the line, we'll see who wins. If I lose, 10 years down the line, Ajay sir will mediate that I hand over 1 lakh rupee check to all the participants. So the person who has done it. So I am so confident because people have proved it beyond doubt over the past 50 years from 1950 to 2020 by conducting real-time bets. So before we go on to see, I will show you the little logic why Nifty will always win. People always have this doubt, why Nifty will always win. First thing is, the main concept in the bet Warren Buffett mentioned was S&P 500 will win over active funds considering the expenses involved. So what he was saying is the total expenses are too much, like 1.5 to 2.5%, because of which the effective return to the investor is much minimal, at least less compared to Nifty 50. And we ran a check on that. For example, I will just, okay. So I did a check from 2005, 2009 and 2012 to see in the next 10 year span if you have chosen the best funds as on that day. For example, there is this website, Jago Investor. Sorry, but I'm somehow not able to. So, can you see this is the best equity diversified mutual funds in 2009? And today we are going to see what happened to these 10 funds over the period of 11 or 12 years. Canara Robeco, HDFC Tax Saver, SBI Contra, Magnum Contra. So I did the run, and what I found was a remarkably surprising thing. HDFC Flexi Cap. It was the HDFC Top 100 Fund, which later was changed to Flexi Cap. You can see over the past 10 years, who has outperformed the Nifty? Here, S&P 500 BSE Sensex has outperformed HDFC Flexi Cap. And remember, the expense is 2% here. So whatever you got here, you have to subtract 2% again. So HDFC gave 12% and BSE gave 12% approximately. So HDFC, after expenses are removed, is effectively giving you 10%. Similarly, when you go on to check SBI Magnum Contra, it also performed almost at par, but just take into note that the expense is 2.32% here. So if you deduct this from the returns 15%, you are getting something like 13 or 12.5% compared to BSE, which gave you 14.9%. Pawan sir, just confirm that you're able to understand what exactly I'm speaking.
Yeah, Satish. Yeah,
To compare the
but
best.
what about
funds,
that S&P doesn't have an expense?
It's 0.1%. I'm almost taking it nil.
Okay.
So here the expense in Nippon India Growth Fund is 2%, and they almost both of them give 22 and 23%. After deducting the expense, you will get is 20%. This is a 150 mid cap growth fund. Similarly, DSP Flexi Cap. It was actually the other name, but later they changed it. This was Equity Growth, which was later changed to DSP Flexi Cap. DSP BlackRock Equity Fund. And as you can see here, for the past 10 years, they have been neck on neck. But if you take out the 1.9% expenses from this, DSP again fails to outperform S&P. So, as I told you, if today you go onto Money Control and click the top 10 funds of large cap or blue cap or whatever, and I take up the corresponding index 10 years down the line, this is what possibly you're going to see. So coming to why this happens like this, people ask me, why should an index fund win? Anybody, any guesses? Why should an index fund always win? Okay, so somebody has mentioned India is still a growing market, unlike US. So active funds still have some role in India and can perform better than index funds. I'm going to show you in real time how this is not the correct. I won't say totally wrong, but 98% it's not the situation. Very good, lower expenses. That's the key point in Warren Buffett's initial $1 million bet. S&P 500 compared to active funds minus the expenses involved will always be better than the active funds. So let us see why they can't outperform the funds. There's something called rule of halves. Has anybody heard rule of halves? So what happens is, we all understand that Nifty is the average of all the mutual funds. So let us say there are 100 funds. After 1 year, 50 funds will be performing above Nifty and 50 funds will be performing below Nifty. And Nifty will be the average of all the 100 funds. This is called rule of half. So Nifty will always be the average of all the funds in that category. So after 1 year, 50 funds will outperform Nifty and 50 funds will lose. A simple question: is it possible that 90 funds outperform Nifty and 10 funds stay below Nifty? Simple answer is no, because Nifty is the average. If 90 funds outperform above 14%, then Nifty also will be somewhere around in the top 45 funds. So at any point of time, among the 100 funds, 50 funds will always be above Nifty and 50 will be below Nifty. So in the second year, out of those 50 funds, 25 will be above Nifty, 25 will be below Nifty. The funds which are losing will never be able to catch up after 2 years. I will tell you later why they can't catch up. For now, let's assume that I'm correct. So after 1 year, 50 will be above Nifty. After 2 years, 25 will be above Nifty. After 3 years, 12.5. Similarly, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years. After 6 years, only 1.55% funds will be performing above Nifty. And if you come to 10 years span of time, there is a possibility that 0.1% funds will outperform Nifty. So when Warren Buffett began his bet, there were 5,000 funds. So he knew that, in fact, 4,500 funds. So he knew that possibly 4 funds will outperform. 0.1% of 4,500 is, when Warren Buffett began the bet, there were 4,500 funds. And 0.1% of those funds is equal to 4 funds. So he knew that if you take 5 funds, you are going to lose. If you take 4 funds or 3 funds, you may be lucky and you eventually can win. But if you take 5 funds, you are eventually going to lose. So that's why he asked that the other party should choose 5 best funds, not 1 or 2 funds. 1 or 2 funds, he can be lucky. But if you choose more than 5 funds, you are definitely going to lose. In our country, we have got 10 funds right now, 9,400 to be specific. And as I told, if you choose 9 funds or 10 funds today, the probability of me winning will be almost 99.99%. That's what Warren Buffett showed. So let us see, will this really happen or not? So I have done some little homework for you. So there's one very good site called Morningstar, unbiased site, where there's a mutual fund screener. In the fund screener, you can come here, and here you can say India, all open funds, all companies, all categories, and you can see that in total there are 9,400 funds currently existing in the market. Now I did some homework to see how much does the Nifty give over the past 10 years. So Nifty actually gave us something close to 13.5% in the last 10 years. In fact, 13.75, but I just taken 10.5. So if we believe that an active fund's average expense is 2%, some are 2.5, some are 1.5, I have taken 2% as the average expense of an active fund, active large cap fund. And Nifty is giving 13.5. So the expected return from active fund is 15.5. So that the active fund and Nifty will become equal when you count the expenses as well. So let us see how many funds will be equal to Nifty when they give 15.5%. And we know that for an active fund to outperform Nifty, they have to give at least more than 15.5. At least more than 15.5. And let's check that in the Morningstar. In the last 10 years, if you go through and hit 10-year return more than 15.5 among all the funds available in the market right now, you will see that 100 funds out of 10,000 is approximately 1%. But this is what? Being equal to Nifty. If our active funds gives 15.5%, it is being equal to Nifty. It's not outperforming Nifty. So let us put 1% higher and say if the fund has to give 16.5%, that means effectively you will get 1% more than Sensex. And if you can see here, it will 70 funds. So out of 10,000 funds, possibly you're looking at some 70 funds which will be outperforming Nifty by 1% margin. And that will take care of all the expenses. So taking this into consideration, now my question is, will you be among those lucky 0.7% or 0.3%? If you have to choose some 10, 15 funds, 10 or 12 funds to invest, do you think you'll be lucky that 0.7% who will be doing it effectively, choosing those 70 among those winning funds? Or there's a high probability of 99.3% that you might fall with the losing fund? I believe if you today choose 10 to 15 funds for 10 years investment, high probability, 99% probability that you are going to fall in the losing category than the winning category. And just to let you know, you might be thinking that 78 funds are outperformed. Most of them will be small cap funds, not the large cap. There will be not even one single large cap fund which can outperform like this. So Nifty 50's competitors are large cap funds. Nifty 50 small cap index versus small cap funds. So when you do the respective index versus the funds, the probability is less than 0.1%. You will be falling in the right category. So now let's look at the possibility that somebody can actually outperform. Manager can actually outperform Nifty 50. So there was this famous study called Any Kid Can Outperform the Investment Professionals. I will share the link in my group chat, where the writer's son's birthday, when many kids came to his birthday, he asked all the kids to randomly pick some 30 to 50 stocks. No logic. Whatever they loved, they'd pick it. And he made a mutual fund out of it. And then he said, let's compare this with the Sensex and the active mutual funds. So this study was comparing active funds versus a random fund. An active fund versus the random fund. So they found out that the children's mutual fund outperformed 98% mutual fund professionals, and that too by a good 1.5% margin. Now the question is, if a random fund can, I will definitely cover these index funds, Nifty 200 momentum fund, other things. Some people are posting it. I'll come to it. But let me finish this. Whether the outperformance is by pure chance or by active talent of an active fund manager. So they said children's mostly picked up all chocolates and confectionery companies like Coke, Britannia, Colgate, and all these kind of companies they picked up, Apple and all these companies. So obviously, we know that FMCG outperforms Sensex, usually by a good margin. So that's why they refuted the study saying that no, children picked up all FMCG are good companies, that's why they outperformed. Then they went into more randomization. They called some monkeys. They got a monkey who can throw a dart onto a 1,000 fund index. And 50 companies picked up by the monkey dart throwing formed one mutual fund. And similarly, they did this exercise for almost 50 years. So every year, one monkey fund versus active funds, one monkey fund versus active funds, one monkey fund versus active funds. And they found out that 8% of the times, monkey fund outperformed fund managers in a span of 1 year time. So what does this show is, when you choose a fund which has got more than 30 to 50 constituents in it, the returns are not because of the talent. They are more likely because of the chance or by luck or randomization. With this, What I want to convey to you is, if you are believing that active fund managers are going to give you a remarkable return consistently, outperforming most other active fund managers for a period of 10 years and above, beating the consensus, then the probability is less than 0.1%. Somebody yesterday posted a portfolio of 30 stocks. So I'm not saying it might not outperform. In fact, I believe it might outperform the most fund managers. But what I try to tell people is, if you want to harvest the maximum returns of equities, keep it to 10 to 15 stocks and keep buying them on dips. So with this, I hope we are clear about two things. Most active funds will be defeated by a Nifty index fund in a span of 10 years and above. And active funds, if they involve more than 30 to 50 stocks, have little of talent contribution and more of luck contribution in their returns. So people keep asking me, so tell me, Satish, what to invest into? If I have to give a 5 lecture series, what to invest, how to invest, where to invest, how to screen, answer is simple. Invest in Nifty 50, invest in Nifty 50, invest in Nifty 50. If you give me 10 sessions, if I have to speak something, invest in Nifty 50. This holds true for a know-nothing investor who is going to invest on a regular sequential basis for a period of more than 10 years. In 1 or 2 years, active funds might outperform Nifty by so much of margin. But if you're looking at 10 years and above, simple Nifty 50 will do the job. So with this small presentation, I would like to show one small thing from my sorry, I got mixed up. So somebody also asked me that should we buy on dips? So we actually devised a small strategy called not SIP strategy, it is called the VIP strategy, which is called value based investing strategy. What we do in SIP, you keep investing in sequentially equal amount of money sequentially across a long period of time. Our logic is, when things are sold cheaper, why don't you invest more? And when things are expensive, why don't you invest less? For example, it's a Diwali bumper offer. Will you not buy more clothes or more shopping? Obviously, you will do. Then why to do SIP for mutual funds or for any other investment equities? We usually ask people to invest, keep investing sequentially, but add some top ups when our value is more. With that valuation metric, we just compared. This is one of my research, my core research. So here we are comparing a Nifty fund versus a regular mutual fund. Both of them gave 14.5%. But as you can see, if we had begun in 2000 and you invested almost 1 lakh rupee every month, what has happened? Both the funds gave nearly 14.5%, but because of the 2.5% or 2% actual expense ratio, the actual return given to our active fund investor was 75 lakhs out of 23 lakhs, whereas a Nifty fund investor got 112 lakhs out of 23 lakhs. A remarkable 50% extra gain by purely investing in Nifty without looking. Every mutual fund house have got their own index fund, Nifty fund, HDFC Nifty 50 fund, Aditya Birla Nifty 50 fund, Motilal Oswal Nifty 50 fund, any fund you can choose. There are small nitty-gritties which I'll discuss later in the index investing chapter out of this thing. But as you can see, in real time, if you have taken up the 5 best funds in the past 20 years and invested them, the actual average return was 11.29%, and simple Nifty 50 gave 14.73%. This is our original research paper, which was soon going to publish in a financial journal. On top of this, what we did was, we added a VIP, value-based investment strategy, where we invest something more when markets crash. For example, 2009, the market crashed. So we had invested not just 2008, the market crashed. So we invested lot more money in the equities. and we invested lesser money when market was on the boom. Just to show you, 2000 the market was on the boom, so we were investing 35,000, 78,000, 40,000 based on some valuation metric. But when market crashed in 2001, dot-com bubble burst, we invested significantly higher amount of money. You can see this is a high undervalued, good fertile period. Similarly, we invested lot more when the market was crashing. This is a small jiffy. We invested a lot of money here. You can see after the market crashed, we invested a lot of money on top of this. So by practicing this slight value-based investment strategy, the net returns we found were significantly higher in the same Nifty. The same 22-23 lakhs, we got almost 100% more returns. What we call as VIP strategy. Talk about this later, but for now, a simple layman's rule is whenever market crashes more than, invest at least 10 to 20% higher, and that will give you significant. So with this, I call it a day with only two things to mention. Warren Buffett always said, rule number 1, protect your core principle. And rule number 2, never forget rule number 1. That means there are so many active data sources around you which keep distracting you and forcing you to invest in something which is against the rule number 1. And yeah, some traps are NFOs. They keep telling you that invest in NFOs, you're getting things for cheap. It's all shit. They keep telling you active funds are much better because India is still not a grown-up country. That's also, I don't agree with that. 5 years returns, more than 15% will give. These funds are given 25%, 15%, 20%, 100%. It's all shit. Whatever the entire foundation is going to give you will depend on how our underlying Nifty performs. And they will say high risk, high returns, invest in Bitcoin, all these things, whatever. We don't buy those things. So with this, I conclude with only one thing tell you. If today you have take one take home message, that will be invest in only one magical fund, that is Nifty 50. Invest for a period of more than 10 years, not 1 to 3 years. And most importantly, if you want to invest to be slightly smarter than the others, you have to invest not in SIPs but VIPs. SIPs, we call it Stone Age investment plan. Stone Age people used to do that. The smart people today, they do value-based investment plan. And many people keep asking me, what is my biggest asset and what is my biggest investment? My biggest asset is my wife Lakshmi. Ever since she came into my life, my inventions, innovations, revolutions multiplied 10 times and above because of her support. I really want to acknowledge her that she is my biggest asset. And what's my biggest investment? Every day I do investing time in your family, in your kids. A good kid can multiply your name, your fame, your wealth 10 times, and a bad kid can kill all of that before you die. So thank you, Pats, for giving the opportunity. Questions, welcome.
Wonderful talk, Dr. Satish. You really gave an insight. You gave a real beautiful way of approaching the mutual funds. And there are a lot of questions. We'll stick to the topic. And I request if Balwant sir is also there, some questions are there. Because of the lack of time, I will quickly go through the questions, and I request both the speakers to also give the answers in a very brief way. Let's start with your going back to your talk, from your talk to back to the taxation talks. There are, Dr. Pankaj has said SIP and DIP or VIP. You have already talked about it, so there is nothing to answer, I think. So you have made it clear that VIP way of investing, high in the dip and low in the rise, is the way to go forward. Okay, that is a very good way of telling us. Dr. Pankaj again asked, direct mode is always preferable or to the index mode through some indirect mode to buy through the intermediaries? What do you say to this question? Dr. Satish, you able to get this question? This is by Dr. Pankaj. He said direct
Regular and direct funds. What I tell people is there are many regular funds whose expense ratio is much lower than the expense of direct funds of active funds. It's not about direct or regular. It's about what's the total cost implication on you. For example, there are a couple of investment solutions. For example, mine. We provide regular funds with this VIP strategy. But the total expense ratio is 0.4, 0.5%.
Yeah.
Much lesser than the direct funds expenditure of active funds. Whenever you look for funds, you look for total expense implication on you, not on direct and regular.
So what Dr. Srinivas mentioned is index funds also have this regular funds and direct fund. Can they go through index fund in the direct or regular fund? Is it possible?
Yeah. So basically, if you are just going to do a simple SIP,
Yeah.
don't need to go for regular things. Just go out, open a Demat your mutual fund account, and buy any company's Nifty 50 fund. That will solve the problem.
Yeah.
Need not ask anybody. But if you want to take some VIP strategies, some additional things, you may go with regular index funds.
Even there is a new fund has been launched, again mentioned by Dr. Pankaj, Nifty 200 Momentum Fund. It's a 330
So
company.
I actually wanted to show you those things. These are called
Okay, let's not go to the first mutual fund, this thing about the more complex. So what are the best 3 to 5 index funds you will suggest?
Nifty 50, Nifty Junior 50, Nifty Mid Cap 50, Nifty Small Cap 50. That's all.
Right.
All that you have to invest in the next 10 years is these 4 or 5 funds.
Yeah. One question was there from Dr. Sri Selam. Says, suppose that company goes away from Nifty 50 and you are having a particular index of Nifty 50 with inclusive of, say, I'm just giving an example, HDFC. And this HDFC goes away next time. Does your index fund also changes? You have to sell it and buy a new index fund again with inclusion of a new company?
I missed out, so please come again.
I have an index fund investment with me. I have a fixed 50 companies, out of which one company or 2 companies
go bankrupt.
Yeah, they are out. And the new companies
so
have come
what will
out.
happen is, let us say in the past 4 quarters, Yes Bank was in the Nifty 50 index. So let us say I invested 100 rupees and 2 rupees went to Yes Bank. So when Yes Bank went bankrupt, it went out of Nifty. At this point of time, my 2 rupees became 0.5 rupees. So now the active fund manager, what he will do is, that 0.5 rupees he will take out by selling Yes Bank, and he'll invest that 0.5 rupees into Bajaj Finance, which came in place of Yes Bank.
So this is what Dr. Arun Manglik from Kolkata, he is asking actually this question. So I also did not get the clear answer from you. So do we have to sell off our old index fund to buy a new index fund if there are companies change in that index? I think that's how I got the question understood by me. I don't know,
Normally,
Dr. Arun, if you are there, you can ask yourself. Dr. Arun Manglik, if you are there, you can ask yourself. You can get unmuted if you want. Okay, we'll go to.
Let me add. So
Mr. Balwant, yeah.
The mutual fund company does the rebalancing itself. So the investor does not have to do anything. When the company goes out, the mutual fund company will sell those company shares and will buy the incoming company shares. So investor does not have to do anything.
Okay.
His investment remains with the index fund, updated investment.
Yeah. So I think this Pritish Nagar's statement, Satish has already answered. India is still a growing market, unlike USA. So active funds still have some role in India and can perform better than index funds. That's what I think he mentioned. And Satish has actually given a different statement for that. This was Dr. Priyesh's statement. You did not really agree with this particular statement, saying that index active funds may not be so useful compared to the index fund. So you still stick to the Nifty 50 fund as a stay safe bet. Okay. Okay. We honor your opinion. Should you reserve this type of investment during retirement? This is for the Srisalam. Dr. Srisalam, your question is not, not clear. What does an index fund do when, okay, we have already answered this
Index
question.
funds, sir, index funds can be only traded at the end of the day.
Yes, Srisalam, you are on mic. Okay, go ahead, you answer.
I was asking, the index funds, they can be only sold at the end of the trading day, unlike the ETFs, whenever we see that the stock.
Dr. Satish?
So basically, there's a difference between ETFs and index funds. Index funds give you the end of the day value. ETFs give you right away value of the stock of the index fund. So index ETF and index funds are actually absolutely same, except the value you get for fund is the end of day value, and ETFs, the moment you buy, at that point of time, whatever is the value, you get it. So for a common nothing investor, the best way is to get the end of day value. Whereas an active investor who understands nitty-gritties of the daily fluctuations, he wants to capitalize the drops on the daily basis, then it's better to go for ETF.
May I ask
Fine.
something?
Okay, Dr. Arun sir, you have come. Yeah, no, you have raised your hand. Dr.
yeah.
Arun Mangik sir, yeah, go ahead,
Yeah.
your question.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask a simple question for a beginner. If you look up into the Google, as you just you were talking, Satish. If you look up, it says UTI Nifty Index Fund, HDFC Nifty Index Fund, IDFC Nifty Index Fund. So, which of these would be, according to you, the best bet?
So basically, there's small difference between the several funds. The small difference is decided by the tracking error. For example, you are the HDFC Nifty fund and I am the UTI Nifty fund manager. You go out to buy today morning 9 o'clock, I go out to buy today afternoon 12 o'clock. So the exact value of the same Nifty will be slightly different. So normally the tracking error works at 0.1 to 0.2% something. But normally, if you want to be very particular about the best Nifty index fund, then look at a fund which has got minimal tracking error and larger volume of trading. But for a common nothing investor, it doesn't matter. You can just go out and buy any index fund, it doesn't matter.
Thank you.
So, Dr. Arun, I think that satisfies your question. So there's
Yeah.
one more question by Dr. Harish. He says, what is the difference between direct funds and growth funds? I think there is a very clear-cut this thing there. Direct funds and growth funds.
So there are three kinds of fund for everything. Growth fund, dividend fund, and dividend payout fund. So for a beginner, do not go into dividend funds. The effect is at least 1% lesser than the regular growth fund. What happens is, suppose the company got some dividend, some profits, and they gave us dividends. The company pays dividend distribution tax, or the receiver pays dividend distribution tax, and gets the money into his pocket as profit. In dividend reinvestment, he gets the money into his pocket and again reinvests it. So after paying the dividend distribution tax, he reinvests it. In growth fund, the profits don't come out of the pool. The profits are reinvested.
Yes.
No dividend distribution tax business.
Okay.
No nothing investor, growth fund is the best fund.
Okay, right, Dr. Satish, that's a good message. Sir, for Dr. Balwant sir, please explain taxation of sovereign gold bond bought in secondary market.
I have already covered. So sovereign gold fund, whether originally subscribed or bought in the secondary market, the capital gain is fully exempt if those are tendered for redemption to the government. And in case you sell it in the market, then you get the indexation benefit, and you have to pay the tax, the long term or short term, depending on your holding period.
So Dr. Balachandran from Kerala has asked, sir, to you question specifically to, can you explain 80 TTB and recycling of ELSS investments? Sir? Any relation these two?
Okay. So 80 TTB benefit is available to senior citizen first. Second, it is available for interest received on any deposit with the bank. It can be saving bank, it can be RD, it can be FD, it can be senior citizen saving scheme as well. Whereas the 80 TTA benefit is available to a non-senior citizen up to 10,000 only, and that too only for interest in respect of saving bank account. So for non-senior citizen, 10,000 only saving bank account. For non-senior citizen, 50,000 all bank interest. As far as recycling of ELSS is concerned, ELSS is an equity investment. Though the lock-in period is 3 years, but it may or may not perform during those 3 years. Probably the NAV may be lower than your purchase price. But still, suppose you do not have the money to invest for ATC benefit, what you can do, since you are out of the lock-in period, you can redeem those ELSS and buy the same ELS scheme, same. So you will buy at the same price and sale at the same price, and still you will be able to get the tax benefit of Section 80C. So this is about recycling of your ELSS investment.
Yeah.
And even if you have earned the capital gain,
Thank you.
capital
I hope
gain
Dr. Balachandran, you got the answer there. Anything more, you can directly text to sir.
Yeah,
Satish,
thank you,
there's one
sir.
question to you. Nifty ETF or mutual index fund, what do you suggest?
As I just mentioned, ETF is for active investors who understand the nitty-gritties of the daily fluctuations and who want to do trades in significant time frames. For rest, all other know-nothing investors, Nifty Index Fund is the best. Explain ETF and index fund separately, but this is the snapshot. That for nothing investor, index fund is the best.
So ETFs
Thank
are
you,
for the
Satish.
traders, ETF are for the traders, funds are for the regular investors for long term.
Okay. Sir, this is a question to sir. How long do we have to maintain accounts books, sir? Today, by the IT rules.
So the law has been changed this year. There are no direct provision for the period for which you have to maintain the books account, but there is a provision for which the income tax department can reopen your case. So the period has been reduced to 3 years from this year, and in case of serious fraud, etc., it is 10 years. So you have to maintain books of account for 4 years. That's 1 year current year and 3 preceding years.
So let me make it very clear, sir. This is a very important information you are giving to our friends here,
Yeah.
and also to Indian Academy of Pediatrics. We have to maintain at least till the period of 4 years to the currently, right, sir?
Yes.
And what about GST, sir? What about GST papers or GST opening of the case on GST?
No, GST is not
Any
my
idea, sir?
GST is
Okay.
not my domain expertise, so I refrain from giving any opinion.
Thank you, sir. So there is a suggestion from our participation members that we should have some issue on a session on a GST. We will try and see if anybody can come on GST who's a professional who is doing it. And we have a couple of them who has done for our Pedicon conferences GST specialists and who are exclusively doing GST. So we will bring some GST person in the next remaining Fridays for at least for a short question and answer session, if not for the presentation. Sir, again, Dr. Swapna has said, sir, taxation on short-term gains and how to set it off for the previous year loss. Can we have any set off for the previous year loss, sir?
So yes, you are allowed to set up the loss, etc. So the broad discussion will happen when we discuss mutual fund part 2. But as far as the setup, etc. is concerned, you can set up your short-term losses against your long-term capital gain during the year. and long-term capital gain only against the long-term capital loss against only long-term gain. This is as far as same year is concerned. The carry forward losses can also be short-term capital gain loss which the short-term capital gains loss which cannot be set up during the same year is allowed to be carried forward for 8 years and set up accordingly in the same order which I discussed.
So this doesn't come under today's topic, but anyway, there is one question I thought I should ask the panelists of today speakers, which is the best health insurance for doctors, and especially when you have also parents who are more than 70 years old in your family.
So
Any suggestions?
No, I don't think there is any specific product for doctors. But while buying health insurance policy, you should check it should have a minimum waiting period. It should have a reasonable limits. So there are 1% room rent limit, and for the 2% it is for ICU. So if you are able to get a higher percentage for our CA Institute group insurance, the limits are 1.5% and 3%. So what happens in case of health insurance room rent limit? Suppose your eligibility is of 5, you have taken 5 lakh insurance, 1% is 5,000. So you have taken a room of 10,000 rupees eligibility. The room rent are not less than 10,000 anywhere. So not only the rent is deducted, even all other expenses like operation theater rent and doctor fee, etc., are also accordingly reduced. So your claim amount gets substantially reduced. So you have to ensure either you take a higher insurance like 20 lakh insurance, so which will cover 20,000 in normal and 40,000 ICU.
A little complex, sir. We will leave it insurance as a different session, and Dr. Kolundu will tell us because he is really well versed in it. I think we'll ask him next time. Sir, Dr. Arun is around here. I can see his picture. He said, can PPF be opened? Asked, can PPF be opened in the name of minor? I think you have mentioned that you can open a PPF on a minor.
As per the PPF rules, a guardian can open a PPF account for a child.
Minor. Yeah, you have already told that. Transaction in a single to avoid GST. This is again a GST question, sir. I think we will audit for the clinic income. What is the limit? You have also mentioned, I think our participant has not heard that. Can you just re-mention that, sir? Audit compulsory for the clinic income.
Audit is applicable in 2 circumstances. When your gross exceeds 50 lakh, then you have to mandatorily go for audit. And in case your receipt are less than 50 lakhs, but you claim that my income is less than 50% of my receipt, then also you have to get your accounts audited.
Okay, right, sir. My little bit of a suggestion is all people who are less than 72 years now at least should join Family Benefit Society. We have just opened up for the seniors this day only, today being Akshay Tritiya. So there is a decision done by the board, and everybody who is up to 72 years can join with a very, very attractive joining fee. You all know that it's 8.5 lakhs now we are giving to the nominees. Dr. Pani said regarding about the index fund, I think his was also the same question what Satish has already answered. Any more questions coming in?
Sir, one question I would like to address here, sir.
Yeah.
One question I would like to address here. People are asking, should we invest in US funds or Indian funds or other funds? I just want to share on screen, sir, to show which is the best country to invest if you are a global investor. Can you?
Okay, go ahead.
So, can you see my screen, sir? Sir, am I audible?
Yeah, you are audible and also visible.
Okay, fine.
Also, your screen is also visible.
Okay, fine. So, as you can see here, sir, UK is giving a growth of 2%. Europe is giving growth of 5-6%. US is giving a growth of 9%. As we saw in the S&P bet, he gave 9%. 11%. India gives 14 to 15%, not 12 to 15% at least. So what I'm trying to say here is, Why invest anywhere else? You have the best opportunity and you are born in the best situation where you are sitting on the best gold mine. So
So
why?
Satish, I want to clarify a little bit. The last quarter, which is just released because of the pandemic and because of the COVID, India's GDP has gone down and China's GDP was 18% growth, which is phenomenal and almost double or triple than what they're normally having. I think which year this particular GDP versus country chart is there? You just mention it. Which year ending?
So this one is for the overall for 25 years, sir.
Okay.
95 till 2020. I made this chart for overall growth. What happens is, sir, for some phase, some country will be doing better.
Yeah.
But if you look at a 10 years span of
Agreed. So anyway, I'm a patriot. I will invest in Indian funds only. China being
so
our enemy
Nifty. So
country,
that's
I
why
will
we
not
promote
invest.
investment in Nifty and investment called India.
Yeah, sure.
One last point, sir. Before
Yeah,
Sure, Mukesh, sir. I'll just take 1 minute before I can give the mic to you. People ask me, should I invest in FMCG fund, IT fund, or Nifty 50 fund, or mid cap fund? I tell people is, whenever you buy a fund, don't look at the metrics. Look at the underlying asset you are investing in. Investing in Indian mutual fund, you are investing in essentially India's GDP. Investing in mid cap fund, you're looking at the mid cap index. You're investing in the IT sector fund. So you have to know in next 10 years how the IT sector is going to do. If IT sector does well, almost every fund will do well in the IT sector. So always look at the underlying value of underlying asset and ascertain what could be a possible outcome of your mutual fund, not the Sortino ratios or the other ratios, Turner's ratios. Okay, sir. Over to you, sir.
yeah.
Satish, I have a small query. I think all of will be in that. Most of us would have already started some SIPs and which have been done through regular fund through brokers. Now, what do we do for that? How do we
Sir,
convert to direct and how?
Here I have got a very good plan to tell you. Just like we have a VIP plan to invest, we have a VIP plan to disinvest also. For example, my one of my clients who invested from 2000 for his daughter's MBBS seat. His investment ended in 2020 and he went to bank to take the money out in 2020 May. Can you imagine? His net worth was reduced by 50%. Never exit from a mutual fund in a single go. You may end up 80% of times in losses. So I told him, take 10% each month for the past 10 months. And he got an average return at the exit. Just by withdrawing money sequentially over a period of 12 months, you will earn 20 to 30% higher returns than a person who goes and takes the money out in a lump sum. And what we do additionally is we tell them a reverse VIP method. When the markets are very high, we'll ask them to remove more money and transfer them in the index fund. Or when the market is very low, we'll ask them to take out lesser money. So it's a reverse VIP. I will not promote my product, but what I'm trying to say is withdrawing money sequentially over 10 months period of time is always better for a know-nothing investor than a one-time random withdrawal of money.
Yeah. I think
I wish to take two small questions on the screen, which are visible on the screen. One is, can we set up any loss against salary income? So only house property loss to the extent of 2 lakh can be set up against salary. No other loss can be set up against salary income. One question is, can we transfer our stocks to HUF and then sell to gain on capital gains? So in case, if you transfer any asset to your HUF, only member can transfer, and this is not, it does not become taxable in the hands of the HUF, but the clubbing provisions will apply, and the clubbing provisions say that any profit earned or any income earned on asset transfer by a member of HUF to HUF will be clubbed with the income of the person who has transferred it. So it will not serve any purpose if you transfer your own assets to your HUF, but you can certainly take gifts from reliable and credible sources to increase the capital of your HUF, because HUF income is exempt up to 2.5 lakh, additional 1.5 is ATC. So if you do not have any capital in your HUF, you can take gifts from reliable persons up to 4.5 lakh, pay tax on 50,000, and then the hereby increase the capital of your HUF. I should warn the people that one should not take the gift from anybody and everybody. You should be able to prove the ability to pay, ability to credibility and capacity to give the gift. Otherwise, it will get taxed at the fixed 60% and you will get interest and penalty and bonus.
Sir, very good explanation. I have got one of the suggestions taken from the Dr. Kalundu's book on this particular portfolio acquiring strategy. What Satish has said is outstanding, but I have got from his book, which we have all are now studying. I am also studying this. This is an investment in mutual fund. So I think all the beginners who are there in this group should look into this book. And one of the other important thing which I have discovered is there are people specialists to study the fund managers of the mutual funds. So there are 200 fund managers in India who are actually picked up, out of which 17 fund managers have been dealt in this book. The fund managers style has been divided into 4 cricket players style, like a Tendulkar, Kapil Dev, Rahul Dravid, and Virendra Sehwag. So all the 4 types of players are needed in your portfolio to be an active investor, to be a defensive investor, to be a wicket taker, to bowl all the losses at one go, and also a Tendulkar who is a man of all seasons. So this is the way he has divided the fund managers, and the fund managers, top 5 fund managers, if you follow of the each fund of each mutual fund, probably you can look into the portfolio picks, what they do, and we can also do if we are doing independently ourselves to build up our portfolios for mutual fund. So read this thing about the fund managers. They are stars of the mutual fund departments and various funds. So shall I now? There are a lot of questions coming in also now. We will take up only the topics, questions for which the topic we have today. The rest of it, we'll leave it for the next topic. Insurance definitely will take up in one of the Friday. So now the time is also is about 5:20. We have overrun the time. I think we will come for the Friday, which I have already promised from today, wherein moderator Dr. Sanjay Srirampur and our own doctor from Hyderabad, Dr. Srinivas Murki, will be moderating the questions which are left out or which will be coming in that particular 1-hour session, and it will be a panel discussion along with the frequently asked questions, and we will take up in the one of the Friday which are remaining. Today, I think at this time, if my speakers allow me, and if they have anything more, Satish, I'm seeing that you're displaying
Yes, sir.
screen.
One last point, sir. I'm just running a comparison of
the session and hand over to the secretary.
Yes, this last point I'll cover up. Before I go on, I just wanted to cover up what sectors do well in Nifty, what don't do well in Nifty. Nifty has media, metal, motors, which frequently keep dragging Nifty down, and there are star performance in Nifty, which keep Nifty up. The overall Nifty is the average of all the draggers and the winners. So let's look at the winners. So among the winners, you can see that FMCG has always been a consistent performer. For example, if you see here, in that 2009 drop, FMCG dropped very little and went up very high from there on. If you go on to the recent drop also in 2020 March, FMCG dropped very little. So as you can see, it's a consistent performer like a Rahul Dravid kind of stuff. So I sincerely request all my colleagues, no arguments on this. Some part, 20% of a portfolio of stocks and funds should be in FMCG. The business model itself has got a lot of profitability embedded into it.
There is a
Yes, sir.
There's a comment, Satish, on FMGS. Last time in my presentation, I did make that we in India don't have a differentiation of fast-moving consumer goods between a staples and also consumer products of FMGS, because consumer products of fast-moving goods can vary by the economic cycle, but whereas the staples don't change. So there should be a company which deals with cereals and the staples, and then that fast moving consumer index fund which deals with that makes a better sense. Yeah,
Yes, sir.
agreed.
Actually, you're right, sir. As I can see in America, the index funds have diversified extensively. They have got 500 index funds. In India, we have only 5 to 10 index funds. India soon, in 20 years span of time, will move towards diversified index funds where each
No,
segment.
this fast moving consumer good only, there are two divisions. One is staples, one is consumer goods. And
Yes,
we
sir.
should also look for that, I think. Yeah, agreed,
Yes, sir. Yes,
Satish.
sir. So, coming to the FMCG, next best performer is this yellow line, bank. So we believe that in
Bank.
Nifty, the banking sector, in Nifty, the banking sector is the one which is directly benefited by the RBI governance or rules during a post-recovery phase. So if you invest in a bank at the crisis, for example, you invest it here like this, you can see the banks will do much better because whatever benefit comes from RBI goes into banks. You can see it here, sir, that as I'm moving it to the crashest point, banks are. Similarly, IT sector. IT sector, the Oxford Economic Recovery Prediction Modeling for the global indices predicts that IT and AI based technologies will be
Are going to be, yeah.
18 to 21% action
Yes.
after 10, 20 years. So that's why I ask people to invest in IT sector as well. But
True.
invest in a sector or thematic fund, always bear it in mind what the underlying asset you are investing in and how well it can do. So that's from my side, sir.
Even to identify in artificial intelligence sectors, the top companies we have to select. That is again a challenge, which
Yes,
I
sir.
think some of the research people only can do that. We cannot randomly pick up a IT company and also randomly pick up a artificial intelligence company which is doing. Agree with you, Satish.
True, sir. True. So
So
that's
here
it,
we,
sir, for my colleagues that if they want to invest in some sector-based thematic funds, then there are few sectors which will usually keep outperforming Nifty in a long run. That's why they're called Nifty
Right.
winners. And if you look at Nifty PSU banks, Nifty Media, Nifty Metal, they are the Nifty draggers. They keep bringing the Nifty down. Yeah. So that's it
there
from
is
my
one
side, sir.
question by Dr. Suresh Rugnani. I have seen it. He is asking about portability between the brokers. Can we do this index funds portability? Like now
Yes, sir.
our mobile funds are, mobile phone, we are portable. We are doing between company to company service provider. Today I learned that even health insurance can be portable. The health insurance can be done portability from one company to other company. I have got today renewed my health insurance by paying 45,000. It can be go from New India Assurance. I can take it to HDFC because if the terms and
Yes.
conditions are good. Similarly, can we shift our funds from one brokerage firm to other brokerage
So
firm?
there are two things, sir, to shift. One is simple. One is the physical way. You go to a broker, give him a DIP slip, take the permission, go to new broker, submit it, and all the funds get transferred onto the new
But there
broker.
is a money loss, no, Dr. Satish, in the transactions.
No, sir. This is just a transfer. No loss.
Okay.
That pure units to pure units. But when you sell them there, get the money, and invest
And
new
revenue.
in the new broker, then there's a transactional or a frictional loss. So some people, if they don't have too
Regular
much,
shift can be done from one
Yes.
DP account to another DP account, from one DP account broker who's holding my funds, a portfolio, I can shift to another broker DP account. Can be done,
slightly,
right?
slightly time consuming, 1 or 2 days it takes. But if you go and get the DIP slip and come to the new broker and give him that, it will transfer all of them into your account.
I think that's good. That's a good point which we have learned today. I think with this we will close the today's session. Wonderful. There is no end for the talks. There is finance and this particular subject, mutual fund. Satish and Sri Balwan Jain sir topics are so vast and so interesting and so important and complex also. So we need to have more sessions like this in future. We were trying to do and accommodate in the rest of the 4 Fridays which are there. In consultation with my colleagues, I will try and do if we can accommodate more of topics like this to extend it further. Today, I'll close today's wonderful and active session, and I will hand over back to our secretary, Dr. Pavan Kumar. Thank you very much. Wonderful. Join us again next Friday. And please answer all the quiz questions. 7 p.m. is the last today deadline. Prizes will be announced in future and it will be closed. And Jinal Madam has given me the key also, key I have, and tomorrow I'll publish the key in our group. Already questions have been posted in our groups. Please go to the group and then look into it. WhatsApp.
So
Yes,
one
sir.
small thing from
Yeah.
my side, Pavan sir, just I'll sneak in 1 second only. They say, Boomni Bangaran Namukondi Eppudu Mosporu. I tell you today, Boomni Bangaranni Niftin Namukondi Eppudu Mosporu.
Okay.
Great.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Satish and Balwant Jain, sir. I think Dr. Ajay Kumar, sir, the lead coordinator of this entire program. Thank you so much, sir. That today is a really wonderful. I think the attendance has gone to 138. That was a peak I have seen. And most of them are there till last. So that shows the interest, and the topic is so good. And Satish has really made it a fantastic presentation. We are, the beginners like me also able to understand a little in that. So thank you so much. I think a lot more discussion this week is going to be happen on mutual funds. So we'll be open the group for discussion only on the current topic. So let us discuss more during the sessions in the WhatsApp groups and all. So with that, I conclude today's session. Thank you so much, one and all. Let's have more discussion in the groups.
Thank you. Bye.